Prime edition starts now, and public universities and staff have vowed to resume duty only if the government releases at least 80% of their salaries. The lecturers, now on their 48th day on strike, said the partial payment would allow them to return to work as they wait for the remaining 20%. However, they noted that it remains uncertain whether the government is willing to or able to meet this demand. Union leaders from the university's academic staff union, that is WASU, and the Kenya University's staff union, that is KUSU, emphasized that their members are struggling financially and cannot continue working without payment. They insisted that the government must act urgently to resolve the stalemate.
Will the unions urge this honorable committee to prevail upon IPCCF, Ministry of Education, and the National Treasury to release the outstanding 7.9 billion at once?
What is very, very key for the unions is the implementation of 2017-2021. And now they move on.
50% in financial year 25-26, and then 50% in 26-27.
My plea is accept the 50-50 and let us move from this mountain.
The worst of the worst, Chair, is 80-20. They give us 80% and the 20% to remain. My irreducible minimum for the sake of you and the honorable committee members and the students of this country. I'm going to plead with our members so that we can reconsider. You don't push us.
All right, now away from that, human rights organizations are calling for the resignation of Prime Cabinet Secretary, that is Musalia Mudavadi, and Kenya's ambassador to Uganda over alleged negligence in the case of two Kenyan nationals detained in Uganda. According to the activists, the government has failed to take decisive action to secure the release of Bob Njagi and Nicholas Oyo, who have reportedly been held in Uganda under unclear circumstances. Now, the groups claim the two Kenyans are currently in poor health and are appealing for urgent intervention. Speaking during a press briefing, the activists criticized what they termed as slow and ineffective diplomacy, urging the senior government officials tasked with safeguarding the welfare of Kenyans abroad have to live up to their responsibility. They urged the state to intensify efforts to secure the release or rather of detained duo and ensure their safe return home. Take a look.
We will not get tired until we see our comrades free, even if it means that we will come and keep vigil here.
I am really pursuing my government to make sure that they bring our comrades home.
Until now, he has not even spoken anything about our comrades who are missing.
Tunaomba tu William Samoei Ruto atafute vijana wetu cause atulali.
Right, now the death toll from the recent landslide in Elgeyo Marakwet has climbed to 34 after two more bodies were recovered on Tuesday from the affected area. Search and recovery teams continue to comb through debris. There are fears that more victims may still be trapped under the mud and rubble. Families who have yet to locate their loved ones have camped at the scene, anxiously waiting for any updates as rescue efforts persist. Now, local authorities say the operation is ongoing and that the exact number of missing persons still remains unclear. Now, meanwhile, the government has stepped up relief efforts, distributing food and essential supplies to those affected by the disaster. Officials are also working to evacuate residents living in high-risk zones to prevent further loss of life as rains continue in the region.
Naomba serikali wanisaidie kusomesha huyu kijana mwenye alikuwa shule ya KMTC. Nimepoteza huyu wa university. Wacha tu naomba serikali awasaidie. Na mpaka saa hizi hajaonekana.
Watoto yangu amechukuliwa na maji yote, sina baba na mzee. Na hakuna kitu yeyote, na hakuna kitu nyumbani. Na sisi tu ndio na kaifu tu.
Watu wangetolewa waende sehemu ya juu, alafu upande wa hanging file yote ikuwe conservation area, waweke tu miti blue gum yote. I think hatutakuwa na shida tena.
Alright, now at least 36 individuals have been arrested across the country in connection with the cheating incidences during the ongoing Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education, that is KCSE examinations. Authorities say the suspects were nabbed in different regions as the government intensifies efforts to curb exam malpractice. Among those arrested were individuals found impersonating candidates at a school in Nairobi and another institution in Kericho. Police report that the suspects were writing exams on behalf of registered candidates before they were intercepted. In Marsabit County, several students were also detained after they were reportedly found with mobile phones inside examination rooms, a violation of strict exam regulations. Education officials have reiterated their commitment to ensuring the integrity of the national exams, warning that anyone involved in cheating, aiding malpractice, or attempting to compromise the examination process will face legal consequences. Right, moving on, the family of a police officer who was killed while providing security for the ongoing KCSE and KGC examinations in Turkana is calling on the government to support them and expedite investigations into the death. Now, speaking to the media, the grieving family expressed deep sorrow, noting that the officer was the sole breadwinner and has left behind a young family that now faces an uncertain future. They urged the government to step in and offer assistance, saying the tragic loss has left them devastated both emotionally and financially. They further appealed for swift and transparent investigations into the incident, insisting that those responsible must be brought to justice without delay. The families emphasized their loved one died in the line of duty while safeguarding national examinations and therefore deserves full government support and recognition. Take a look.
Huyu mwenye amekufa ni bwanangu, na bwanangu ameniacha nikiwa mdogo sana, nikiwa na mtoto mdogo kabisa. So mimi naomba tu serikali anisaidie juu wakati alikuja nyumbani alikuja August na tuliongelelea mambo mengi, tukaongea mambo mengi kuhusu biashara, like next year alikuwa anafaa nifungulie biashara, lakini venye amekufa saa hii hiyo mambo ya biashara ni kama imeisha tu hivyo. So mimi naomba tu serikali anisaidie kama wanaweza nipatia kazi ama tu biashara yote tu yenye inaweza ni sustain. Juu sasa venye ameenda hivi yeye ndiye alikuwa breadwinner wa familia na ameniacha hapa na mamake pia amekuwa mkubwa. So mimi naomba tu serikali anisaidie. Yeah. Tuliongea Sunday usiku. Usiku tuliongea, mwisho tuliongea saa 3 usiku na yeye Sunday. Amekaa like 7 years kazini.
Sasa sina mengi la kusema. Tunaomba tu serikali watusaidie huyu ndugu yetu apate haki. Tunawaomba. Hiyo ndio niko nayo. Alikuwa hapa August. Ndio tulikuwa na yeye hapa. Tulikuwa tunaongea, kuna kitu tulikuwa tunataka kufanya. Kama huyu mama amesema, alikuwa anasema anataka kununua tanki hapa na kuna zingine tulikuwa tunataka kufanya na hii. But kwa sasa hii nimebaki tu peke yangu. Sasa sijui kama nitafanya hizo vitu zangu zote. Sasa naomba tu hata school fees. Alikuwa anafundisha hao watoto wa brother wake. Kwa sasa hii hao watoto wamebaki. Sasa sijui nitaanza na wapi na nitamaliza na wapi. Sasa naomba tu serikali watusaidie mtoto wetu apate haki.
Na huyu simeji yangu ndio alikuwa ananifundishia mtoto, ameacha mtoto kwa form 2. Sijui vile nimesimama hapa nitaanza kwa wapi. Kwa serikali mnisaidie nipate vile nitafundisha hawa watoto na vile nitakula. Juu bwanangu alisaa kufa, aliniacha na watoto wadogo kwa nyumbani. Mama naye amebaki hapa kama amekoma kabisa, hata sijui tutamweka aje. Na vile nimesimama hata nimekosa mali, hata sijui niongee Kijaluo, Kisungu au Kiswahili. Juu nimeshindwa mahali nitaenda, nimeshindwa mahali nitafanya, sijui nitafanya nini.
All right, moving on. The Kenya National Union of Teachers, that is not officials in the Coast region, have threatened to go to court to stop the government's plan to transfer teachers from the Minet Medical Insurance Scheme to the newly established Social Health Authority, that is SHA. Now, Coast NAT Secretary General, that is Dan Olo, said teachers have contributed million shillings to the Minet cover and expressed fears that the funds will be mishandled if the transition is implemented without proper safeguards. Olo argued that the SHA is still grappling with several operational challenges and may not be ready to effectively manage the teachers' medical scheme. He urged the government to engage the union before enforcing the directive set to take effect on December 1st.
Rural, urban, private hospitals hawajasikizana na serikali. Bado wanadai. Sasa walimu hao 450,000 pamoja na watoto na familia yao karibu 1.8 million watahama mara moja kwenda kwa SHA bila mpangilio.
Saa hii kwanza bado kuna matatizo ya watu wa Minet. Kuna masuala ya pre-auth. As I'm speaking, kuna walimu kama 5 saa hii wamenipigia asubuhi bado hajakuwa pre-auth. Kama kiwa Minet iko vile na sisi tumekubaliana nao muda mrefu, leo tunachukuliwa kiolela tunawekwa kwa SHA. Sisi kile tunaongea lazima kwanza tuweke kwa meza tuzungumze. Hatuwezi kukubali kuchukuliwa kwa SHA bila kuwa na mkataba rasmi.
Right, moving on, the Ministry of Health, in partnership with AMREF Health Africa, has flagged off new medical oxygen equipment aimed at strengthening oxygen supply across the country. Speaking during the event, Health Cabinet Secretary Eden Duale emphasized the critical role of oxygen in patient care, noting that the government has invested more than 60 million shillings to expand access to the life-saving resource. Under the oxygen infrastructure project, AMREF Health Africa will support training and maintenance to ensure effective use of sustainability of the equipment. Lisa Motinda now reports.
The Ministry of Health, in partnership with AMREF Health Africa, has flagged off a new consignment of medical oxygen equipment under the Oxygen Infrastructure Project. The initiative aiming to boost oxygen supply across all 47 counties and has so far installed 14 bulk tanks, delivered 1.1 million kilograms of liquid oxygen, and distributed more than 20,000 cylinders nationwide. Health Cabinet Secretary Eden Duale said oxygen is an essential such as medicine, particularly in maternal and respiratory care, noting that the government has invested over 60 million shillings to expand access.
Bridges promise and practice is very vital in our emergency care, in our maternal and newborn care, surgery, intensive care, and also during outbreaks. COVID-19 tested our systems. All of you know that. And it prompted both the national and the county government, our facilities, our partners, all of us, to come together and we rapidly invest in oxygen production, in storage, and in delivery. And I think today what we are doing is we're just laying the foundation for the progress of that. The Ministry of Health estimates that fully upgrading the oxygen production, storage, and distribution across all our existing facilities could require about $232 million. But until today, more than 60 million has already been invested. And this is a very good evidence that when lives are at stake, Kenya must act, and the Ministry of Health must act decisively, and our partners.
Will support the program through training and maintenance of oxygen equipment, while Principal Secretary Mary Muthoni reaffirmed the ministry's commitment to strengthening healthcare workers' capacity.
To our healthcare workers, we see you, we support you, and we will keep investing in the tools that you need to provide quality care. And with gratitude and determination, I am grateful to participate in this event this morning.
Representative Dr. George Githuka acknowledged the participation of Ministry of Health and the government at large, commending their continued collaboration in improving healthcare delivery.
I wish to say that through the support of AMREF, of Global Fund, as AMREF, we are glad to be able to be at the center of the largest oxygen infrastructure expansion in the country. CS, through this support from Global Fund, AMREF has procured and distributed over 20,000 medical oxygen cylinders across the country, equipped 14 health facilities with liquid oxygen tanks, 3-ton liquid.
Isa Mutinda reporting for EBN TV.
Right, moving on, journalists and media stakeholders in Mombasa have raised concerns over the growing risk faced by women journalists, particularly from online abuse and technology-driven harassment. The concerns were highlighted during an event organized by the Mombasa Press Club in partnership with local organizations, held under the theme that is raising awareness on AI-facilitated gender-based violence against women journalists. Now, speaking at the forum, Mombasa Senator Ahmed Faki said the commemoration serves as a reminder of the escalating dangers journalists face globally. He pointed to the recent killings of media personnel covering conflict zones such as Gaza and criticized restrictive media policies in neighboring Tanzania.
Tungependa kusema kwamba wanahabari wanaweza kupata changamoto mingi kwa huu mwaka uliokwisha, tukiona wengi waliuliwa kule Gaza, na mpaka sasa bado pia mambo kama haya yanaendelea. Kwa mfano, jirani yetu hapa Tanzania, wanahabari wanapata matatizo ya kuweza kuripoti matukio kwa sababu ya sheria ngumu ambazo zimewekwa na serikali ya Tanzania. Kwa hivyo tungependa kutoa wito kwa serikali ya Kenya pamoja na Jumuiya ya Afrika Mashariki kwamba waingilie kati masuala ya Tanzania ili kuona kwamba kunakuwa na amani katika nchi hiyo, kwa sababu sisi tumeungana pamoja kama East African Community na tumekuwa ni kiungo kimoja. Kwa hivyo Tanzania ikiwa na shida, ni jumuiya nzima ya Afrika Mashariki iko na shida. Uganda ikiwa na shida, jumuiya nzima ya Afrika Mashariki iko na shida, kwa sababu sote tumeingiliana, hasa tuko pamoja. Kwa mfano, biashara nyingi ya Mombasa inaingia mpaka Tanzania. Kwa hivyo athari Tanzania, athari pia zitaingia katika Kenya. Kwa hivyo tungeomba serikali iingilie mambo hayo na Jumuiya ya Afrika Mashariki iweze kuingilia kuona kwamba tunapata amani na yale matatizo ambayo yako Tanzania kwa sasa yanatatuliwa. Vile vile tuwaomba serikali ya Kenya kwamba tumeona majuzi wamerekebisha ile sheria ya cyber na kuweza pia kuweka faini kubwa kwa wale ambao watapatikana na makosa hayo. Lakini tunasema kwamba hiyo pia inazuia kwa kiwango fulani uhuru wa wanahabari kuweza kuhabarisha wananchi na kutoa taarifa tofauti tofauti. Kwa hivyo tayari tunajua iko kotini hiyo kesi, lakini tunasema pia serikali iweze kuangalia hiyo sheria, kwa sababu haina maana ya kuwa na sheria ambayo itaweza kuzuia haki za wananchi wa Kenya wakati tuna katiba ambayo inatoa haki hizo kwetu sote.
Wanahabari ni jambo muhimu katika hii nchi. Umeweza kuongoa maneno mingi, uwajibikaji kwenye uongozi, uwajibikaji kwenye kuendeleza nchi. So usalama wa wanahabari ni usalama kwa demokrasia, usalama kwa uongozi bora kwenye hii nchi. Lazima tuweze kuwalinda na tuwapende.
Now, the county government of Kirinyaga has reclaimed more than 800 acres of public land worth approximately 1 billion Kenya shillings that had been illegally acquired by private individuals and entities. The parcels, mostly located in major towns across the county, had been earmarked for public facilities including hospitals, courts and police stations, markets, schools, irrigation dams, bus terminals and recreational grounds. They were reportedly grabbed by influential individuals during the era of defunct local authorities. Now, County Executive for Lands, Physical Planning and Urban Development, Reverend Samuel Kajombe, said The reclaiming exercise is part of a sustained campaign to protect public assets and restore land meant for social and economic development.
There are persons that were hitherto grabbed, others even sold to innocent purchaser for value without knowing, but unfortunately the land was not secure under the person who disguised themselves as sellers or owners. So you find that there are those who are innocent. They might be business people, they might be politicians, but they are also unscrupulous politicians and well-connected persons who are able to penetrate either through the documents of Kanjo, through our land registry and what have you, and they altered or changed land ownership documents in their favor. The others who are already on ground, yet in terms of documentation, they can't produce any document of ownership, but they are on the ground and they have been settled there, some even for over 50 years. But let me put this straight. Some are saying that because they have been seated there for over 50 years, for over 12 years, and the law of adverse possession talks of being in continuous and disrupted occupation for 12 years, that one may think that because they are simply there for a long time, that land may belong to them, or that the court might decide to give a portion to them. When it comes to public land, that does not apply. Adverse possession only applies to an individual against an individual, but not an individual against public land. So if it is public land, it is total vacation. It is total vacation. You give what is known as nini. You just leave. Yeah.
Tuna shukrani kubwa sana, tuna furaha kubwa. Hata ukiingia pale ndani ya kanisa utaona washirika wamefurahia sana kupata nafasi ya kurudi katika nyumba ambao walijenga kwa miaka mingi, kwa jasho, kwa kujitoa. Walipotolewa walikuwa na huzuni, hata kuna wengine ambao walienda na leo wamerudi, ikiwa ishara ya furaha na pia tumaini mpya. A new hope imeingia katika maisha ya wapendwa wetu, na tunashukuru sana kazi kubwa ambayo imefanywa na county government ya Kirinyaga tukiongozwa na waziri wetu na pia advocate na pia hata mheshimiwa honorable governor. Hii ni kazi kubwa ambao wanafanya. Tunaombea neema za Mungu.
Now, property of significant value has been destroyed after a group of youth stormed an entertainment joint owned by Kabuchai Member of Parliament, that is Majimbo Kalasinga in Musese, in an incident suspected to be fueled by tensions surrounding the upcoming Chole Kabuchai by-election. And according to employees at the establishment, the gang struck around midday, smashing window panes and reportedly stealing alcoholic beverages and cash. The hotel's manager, that is Geoffrey Kitutu, condemned the attack, saying the business has incurred losses amounting to millions of shillings. He called for swift investigations to ensure the perpetrators are brought to book. MP Kalasinga's wife, that is Janet Majimbo, also expressed shock over the incident and appealed for enhanced security for her family, alleging that the attackers threatened to target their residents as well.
Naomba security agencies were up their game, because at the time when all this happened, nilipigia OCS Chwele simu, na la kushangaza OCS aliniambia yeye hayuko station, na maafisa wa usalama pia hawakuwa station. Akaniambia wote walikuwa deployed kwenda ku supervise mtihani. Na that is why hiyo uharibifu ilifanyika hivyo. Walipata muda wa kutosha kufanya uharibifu, wakamaliza na wakateremuka kuja nyumbani kwa mheshimiwa. Vile tumesimama hivi, walio nyuma yangu na wengine ambao wako hapa walikuja kushika doria.
Ombeni tukura kwa njia ya amani. Mumetoka hapa tena mnaenda kuharibu tena pombe la mheshimiwa. Hiyo ni nini? Mko na uhuru ya kuombea mtu yenu kura. Mheshimiwa pia ako na uhuru ya kuombea mtu mwenye anataka kura.
Tusiharibu properties za watu. Tusikuwe na chuki.
Wakaingia jikoni, wakangoa kila kitu, iwe chakula wakabeba, wakapasua vioo, wakaiba vitu, wakachukua TV, wakachukua viti, wakachukua mali zaidi ya 1,800,000 ambayo wamefanya uharibifu hapa. Wakaassault staff yetu, wakawaumiza, wakachukua vitu wakaondoka. Lakini vile hao vijana waliingia ndani, kuna kikundi ya pili iliingia. Ilikuwa inashauriwa ama kupewa masharti na mtu anaitwa Rombosia. Polisi wetu wa Chwele wafanye uchunguzi wa haraka na wasifanye uchunguzi kulingana na masharti ya mtu fulani.
Tumeingiliwa na guns hapa ndani. Na guns wakati waliingia, walianza kwa kurusha mawe. Wakati waliingia wakaanza kupasua vioo, wakatuharibia mali yetu hapa ndani, wakaiba vitu kwa jikoni, wakaiba TV, wakaiba pool, wakaiba na pesa za pool ndani, wakanibia stock yangu nilikuwa nimeendea na ikachukuliwa.
Walikuwa mbeba mipini kwa mikono na wengine waliingia kuruka kwa ukuta. Venye waliingia walikuwa narusha mawe wengineo. Wamekuwa wengi. Lakini kufaulu yenye tulifaulu ni ile hatujapata majeraha sisi, ila kuna mtoto mdogo ndiye aliyepata majeraha. Walimpata kwa njia, alikuwa mbeba sufuria, alikuwa ametumwa na mamake.
Mimi ni jirani ya mheshimiwa. Mheshimiwa ako juu na mimi niko chini. Sasa nilikuwa tu kwa poma, nikaona watu wamepepa vitu wanapita kwangu. Alafu mwishoye umati ingine iliniingilia kwa poma, wakaninyang'anya simu yangu.
All right, moving on, President William Ruto has urged world leaders to take decisive action on global debt distress and accelerate efforts towards establishing a United Nations framework for international tax cooperation. Speaking at the Second World Summit for Social Development in Doha, Qatar, President William Ruto emphasized that fair and inclusive financial systems are essential to advancing global development and supporting vulnerable nations. He noted that many developing countries continue to struggle under the weight of unsustainable debt, which limits their ability to invest in essential services and economic growth. Ruto urged the coordinated global policy reforms are necessary to level the playing field and promote shared prosperity. The president also highlighted Kenya's domestic efforts to address social and economic challenges, citing the bottom-up economic transformation agenda is the country's roadmap to tackling poverty, inequality, and unemployment. He said the initiative is focused on empowering grassroots communities, enhancing productivity, and creating sustainable livelihoods.
We urge decisive action on debt distress and progress towards United Nations Framework Convention on International Tax Cooperation. We also underscore our call for a UN Convention in sovereign debt. Distinguished colleagues, the Copenhagen Declaration gave us a timeless framework built on 3 pillars: the eradication of poverty, decent work for all, and social integration. Grounded in equity, solidarity, and human dignity, these pillars remain our compass. We therefore welcome the Doha Declaration on Social Development, a renewed global pledge to translate principle into action and to build cohesive and resilient societies for generations ahead. We commend the co-facilitators, the permanent representative of Morocco and Belgium, for their leadership in guiding this important progress. This summit, distinguished colleagues, must rekindle genuine dialogue, restore trust, and reaffirm multilateralism as the anchor of collective progress. In the years since Copenhagen, the world has made tremendous advances in science, technology, and innovation, transforming lives and transforming economies. Yet amid this progress, poverty, inequality, unemployment, and social exclusion persist, and in far too many places, they have deepened. In Kenya, through our bottom-up economic transformation agenda, we have charted a deliberate roadmap to confront these challenges head-on, and I am proud to share a few of its key highlights. We recognize that education is the most powerful equalizer in society.
All right, it is exactly 32 minutes past the top of the hour. You're now up to speed. Those making headlines from across 47 counties as far as news is concerned. Many thanks, of course, keeping us company until this particular minute. Our sign language interpreter tonight has been Laura Mondi. My name is Martin Macharia. Do have yourself a lovely night. And as always, let's meet again when God says we do.